Hi, this is Jinky Del Cruz Tolentino, your live storyteller. Okay, so for those who don't know me, well, I read books to you. Books, I mean that people, successful people, read and have read. Okay, so I'm sharing this with you because my mentor, Robert Hollis, the legendary Robert Hollis, millionaire creator, and well, he taught us all of these books that I'm reading to you. So do what successful people do and you'll get what successful people got. Hi Norma, Lonnie, thank you for watching. Okay, so anyway, today I will read to you part 2, The Awakening, the power to choose your version of the world, and chapter 3, Practice Consciousness Engineering from the Code of the Extraordinary Mind by Vishen Lakhiani. Okay, so in this book, you will learn how to set goals that truly and deeply lead to happiness and create meaningful and a purposeful life. Okay, so I'm reading this from Kindle. You can get this from Amazon.com. Okay, you can get the hardbound books if you want. Okay, and please share this with everyone you know. It might help someone. Okay, so also don't forget to get your gift from the link above or below on your right side. Okay, so you can get your free videos, audios, and books from the unit section of the page. Okay, so let's start. Part 2, The Awakening, the power to choose your version of the world. Okay, so when I was a kid, my dad enrolled me in Taekwondo classes. Taekwondo is a form of Korean karate that builds discipline and self-defense. I loved it. Every year we'd strive to perfect our moves so we could achieve the next belt level. I started as a white belt and slowly ascended to yellow, green, blue, brown, and eventually the much coveted black belt. The belts were an elegant system dating back centuries that allowed students to rise to mastery level in attainable stages. It made growth easier and motivated students far more than a vague goal such as become a master. Each belt was a treasured validation of our hard work and progress. This book is layered like belts for consciousness. As you move from part 1 to part 2, you will ascend to the next belt level in awareness. Humanity today is largely operating within the culturescape, or level 1, trapped by rules from generations past. Once you start to see the culturescape for what it is, something within you will begin to change. Rather than follow the status quo, you will start to make your own rules. You will start to question. And the more you question, the more your awareness will expand. The more your awareness expands, the more you will grow. And the more you grow, the more extraordinary your life will become. Hi, Jagtar. Thank you for watching. I saw you pop in. Okay. At this point, you've ascended to level 2, the awakening. If I were to draw this on a napkin, it would look like this. Let me show you. Okay, here. All right, let me show you. There, can you see that? Okay, so life within the culture scape. The excess represent potential rules. Okay, all right. And then the next one is this one. Okay, can you see that? The excess are the rules. There. So that's level 3. You learn to create your own version of the world within the culture scape. Within your world, the bubble around you, you can choose to eliminate and filter incoming rules. Okay? So think of the little X's as the rules of the culture scape. You're rising beyond it by creating your own bubble within the culture scape where you make the rules. At this higher level, your tool for influencing the world and creating your own growth is a practice I call consciousness engineering. Think of it as the interface between you and the culturescape around you. You decide what you let in or reject. You're engineering how your consciousness is shaped and influenced. When ideas and values, we'll call these your models of reality. Do you choose to believe? So, what ideas and values do you choose to believe? How do you choose to live, learn, and grow? We'll call this your systems of living. In the chapters that follow, you'll select the models and systems that will advance your journey toward an extraordinary life. Chapter 3, Practice Consciousness Engineering, where we learn how to accelerate our growth by consciously choosing what to accept or reject from the culturescape. If you want to teach people a new way of thinking, don't bother trying to teach them. Instead, give them a tool, the use of which will lead to new ways of thinking. Buckminster Fuller. From computer engineering to consciousness engineering. Miserable as I was as a computer engineer, the training did give me one edge, a way of thinking that turns out to be perfect for challenging the rules of the culturescape. It's called computational thinking. Computational thinking trains you to look at problems from all angles, to break down problems into processes and parts, decomposition, spot patterns, pattern recognition, and solve them in a very logical, linear fashion called algorithms. The goal is to come up not only with a solution, but also with one that's replicable, meaning that anyone, a man, woman, or child from India, Malaysia, or North America could get the same results. Computational thinking makes you highly logical and a very good problem solver. It's what gives programmers and hackers their edge. From the day I busted the beef rule at the age of 9, I wanted to hack everything about how I lived. With my parents' permission to question, I began looking at everything about life from the context of why do we do this? But I never thought I'd be applying it to the human mind. From broke failure to super performer in 10 months. To explain how I found the tools for extraordinary living that you'll learn about in this and later chapters, I have to take you back to some lean years in my life. Hi, Elliot! Sorry. I got into personal growth because I was going through a tough period. In 2001, fresh out of college, I moved to Silicon Valley to launch a startup. I was 25. This was a time before Y Combinator, 500 startups, or any of the other dozen or so programs that fund aspiring young engineers and their dot-com dreams. Money, especially for 25-year-olds, wasn't easy to come by. I took what savings I had, borrowed some money from my dad, and went out to try my luck. My timing, in a word, sucked. A few months after moving to Silicon Valley, the dot-com bubble burst. I remember reading that 14,000 people had been laid off in April 2001. Pink slip parties where the jobless go to network and drink themselves into comfort became the norm. Broke and desperate, I sent my resume to every job I could find on Craigslist.org, but got zero replies. Funds were so low I couldn't afford to rent a room, much less an apartment. So I rented a couch. And it wasn't even a three-seater couch. It was a two-seater. So my legs dangled off at night when I went to bed. I was renting it from a Berkeley College student who was trying to optimize his finances by renting out his least favorite piece of furniture. On that couch in Berkeley and on the radiator beside it lay my entire life. All my clothes, my books, my laptop, and my shattered dreams. It was humbling to be living in a college town as a graduate with a computer engineering degree and realizing that most of the college students there were living in better conditions than I was. Finally, one day, after another mind-numbing bout of sending my resume to jobs on Craigslist, I got a reply. It was from a company looking for people who would call law firms to sell case management software. It was a dialing for dollars job, and it was straight commission. If I didn't sell, I didn't eat. The economy was so bad that startups could get away with paying no base salary. I knew nothing about sales and marketing, but it was the only job I could get, so I took it. On my first week in the office, we were assigning territories to cover. Mine was San Antonio, Texas. Work looked like this. I'd have to go to the San Francisco Public Library, get a copy of the San Antonio Yellow Pages, look up law firms, and start dialing every attorney from A to Z to find one bored enough to listen to my pitch without hanging up on me. Since my boss added that any lawyer in Texas would be able to pronounce the name Vishen, I became Mr. Vincent Lakhiani for convenience. My first few months on the job, I earned about $2,500 a month in commissions, hardly enough to survive on in the Bay Area. But it's often when we're feeling down that we end up taking a step toward our next level of personal growth. Remember the drawing from chapter 1 on how extraordinary lives are meant to be bumpy? I was in for another bump that would help me grow and learn. Bored and Bored and mildly depressed, I began searching online for classes to take to help get my mind off the drudgery of my job. I can't remember exactly what I typed into Google. Maybe hope, maybe success, or maybe why does life have to suck so bad? And that's when I saw it. I noticed a class on meditation and intuition. It was in Los Angeles and seemed interesting, especially since the lecturer was in pharma sales and spoke about how these methods had allowed her to rapidly expand her sales volume. Sold! I rather impulsively decided to fly down and take the class. When I showed up, I was the only student there. Meditation wasn't as popular then as it is now. I completed the entire 2-day class in one day and flew back to San Francisco that night. Immediately, I began applying some of the techniques I'd learned, one of which was a simple technique to meditate and get myself, sorry, one of which was a simple technique to meditate and get myself into the alpha state of mind. Alpha is a brainwave frequency common in meditation where you're in a relaxed state. People who advocate this type of meditation say that alpha puts you highly in tune with your intuition, your creativity, and your problem-solving abilities. A key part of what I had learned was listening to my inner voice or intuition. I practiced this when making my phone calls. I stopped calling every lawyer from A to Z in the yellow pages as my coworkers were doing. Instead, I'd go into a relaxed, meditative level of mind, run my finger down the listings, and call the ones where I felt an impulse. The impulse often felt like guessing, but I heeded it. I realized this makes no logical sense, but I discovered that listening to my impulse somehow caused me to call lawyers more likely to buy. My closing rate started rising rapidly. How much of a change can you expect from studying meditation? I certainly didn't expect much other than learning to relax and distress better. But by the end of the first week after flying back from LA, I had my best ever sales week. I assumed it was an aberration and that it wouldn't last. But I closed 2 deals the next week and the next, and it got better. A month later, I leveled up to closing 3 deals. Listening to my intuition seemed to triple the odds of my calling a receptive lawyer. Other things improved too. I started feeling happier and more positive about my days. My confidence and my rapport with people at work improved. I credit this to the fact that I was now meditating for about 30 minutes every day, listening to my intuition and visualizing myself closing deals with ease. Then I started using another technique I learned from another class, a simple empathy technique for connecting more effectively with people. Before speaking to a lawyer, I tell myself that I'd be able to connect with my potential client at a subconscious level, have empathy for his or her needs, know the right things to say at the right moment, and then, only if this was a software that would genuinely benefit the lawyer's firm, close the sale. While in meditation, I would visualize a lawyer in front of me and imagine beaming genuine kindness and compassion toward him or her. I'd end the 3-minute visualization with a mental affirmation that would close a deal if it was in the best interest of all the parties involved. Again, I saw a massive boost in my sales. Soon, I was closing more than anyone in the company. And so, 26 years old and with no prior sales experience, I got promoted 3 times in the next 4 months, and was made director of sales. In September of 2002, just 9 months after I joined the company, my boss sent me to New York City to head up the company's New York office. I continued to grow within the company. I also continued experimenting, adjusting, and refining my meditation practice. And with each refinement, my abilities at work seemed to grow. Soon, I was doing the jobs of 2 people, business development manager, managing the company's advertising spend on Google AdWords, and heading the New York office, excelling in both roles. My salary had tripled in a few short months. At the time, I couldn't explain why all of this success was happening. I just knew that what I was doing worked. Computational thinking meets personal growth. My rapid success in the world of sales sparked my fascination with decoding the human mind. I realized that we can improve our performance in logical ways by, say, reading a book on sales, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there are also techniques that can dramatically accelerate our performance. The ones I learned changed my life in just 1 week. My computational thinking training kicked in big time. I wanted to break down human behavior, which at first glance appears like a huge tangled knot of thoughts, actions, responses, emotions, impulses, drives, cravings, habits, and God knows what else, and crack the code for how we humans work. So as I got better at meditation and other conscious practices, it started to bother me that I'd been the only person in that class in Los Angeles. There was a lot more to learn. I wanted to teach others what had worked so awesomely for me. So I quit my software sales job and started a small e-commerce store. I called it Mind Valley. Our first products were nothing more than meditation CDs I sourced from established publishers. As Mind Valley grew, I launched as many companies as I could, teaching people mindfulness, meditation, contemplative practices, how to have better relationships, nutrition, health, wellness, basically the knowledge that we truly need in order to have richer, healthier, more meaningful lives. Knowledge that our industrial age education system had failed to teach us. Soon we were publishing many of America's leading thinkers in health, wellness, and consciousness, from Ken Wilber to J.J. Virgin to Michael Beckwith. I started Mind Valley with nothing more than $700 in 2003. 12 years later, with not a single bank loan and no venture capital money, the company had grown to 200 employees and more than 500,000 paying students. In that time, I got to know at a deep personal level many of America's top minds in human development. I spent 9 days at the invitation of author and motivational speaker Tony Robbins on his Fiji estate. I hooked my brain to electrodes with famed biohacker Dave Asprey to study different levels of consciousness. I met masters and gurus from India, billionaires at the peak of their game, and legends in business and society. And with every meeting, interview, and experience, I began dissecting, assimilating, and assembling the framework that helped create this book. Today, I obsessively seek out new models and systems for how we can best understand ourselves and reach levels of potential we've only dreamed about. My hacker mentality pushes me to always be looking for the most effective solution that is replicable, that brings extraordinary results within reach of the greatest number of people. This is how I developed the model I'm about to share with you, consciousness engineering. Okay, so tomorrow I will read to you the next part, an operating system for human consciousness. Okay, so if you find value in this, click on the three buttons at the upper right hand corner of this video and turn on notifications for this post so you can continue listening to me reading the book to you. Okay, so don't forget to get your gift from the link above or below or on your right side so you can get your free videos, audios, and books from the units section of the page. Okay, so you deserve the best in life and you have the power within you. Okay, so read this book and follow it and the other books that I have shared with you. Okay, so tomorrow, an operating system for human consciousness. Okay, so like my mentor Robert Hollis said, get a mentor if you want to become successful. Okay, so reach out to him. Okay, so I believe in you. I know you can do this. You are worthy, and you deserve fulfillment, happiness, and success. So take care. I look forward to helping you go all the way to the top. Okay, see you again tomorrow. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye now. Thank you. See you.